All right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wahabakak, Wadash. I want to say and give double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching his word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. And salutations to the elect, Lord willing, with some of those men and women that believe and fear in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and that are patiently waiting for the day of our salvation, the day of our redemption. Hey, I'm my brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another lesson. And this lesson was inspired by a video that I watched yesterday by Elder Ariala on YouTube, obviously. On YouTube, it was a response to a video that Elder Yashawamba did yesterday as well. And that video, just looking for it right here. Right here, it was the reply to the mother of all harlots, Sodom and Egypt, right? And
what is a catamount?
I believe I watched the whole video. Yeah, I did watch this whole video. But Elder Ariala was going into it about how, you know, this place America is Sodom and Egypt. You know, all this, the same idolatry that people were doing in the ancient world, they're doing today. And he brought this precept out right here. Or I believe he quoted it, but if he did bring it out, I'm sure you'll see it in the video. But this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9. Right? And it says, the thing that have been is that which shall be done, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Right? So with all the things that you're seeing today, you're witnessing today, these things have been done before. They're just going to, you know, they might change a name here and there, right? But it's still the same vibration, the same idolatrous, wicked spiritual vibration that was being pushed, right? And we're just talking about idolatry right now, because everything in this world has been here before. Nothing is new under the sun. Even the fact that we use these computers and tablets, this is nothing more than a Urim and a Thummim that was given to the high priest in the ancient world of Israel by Yahweh Yahweh Shai. And so these things today, the same works that these people did to worship these idols, they're still doing today. Some people are doing it overtly, others doing it covertly. Some people are doing it knowingly, other people are doing it unknowingly, but it's still happening, right? And these idols, they're stumbling blocks, right? They've always been a stumbling block to our people. And this is why Yahweh Bashim Shah is going to definitely visit these idols when he comes back and sets up the kingdom of heaven here on earth. Right? This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 11. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of the Most High they are become an abomination, and a stumbling block to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. And the stumbling block to those men were the men of Israel, and the snare to the feet of the unwise were the unwise people, those men and women that delved into this abomination, because that's what these are. The Lord said what? He's not going to give his glory to another, right? And when you worship these idols, particularly us Israelites, what we were doing, we were giving the Lord's glory to another. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 8. I am Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. And what were people praising these images for? Right? You got Ishtar, Il Nana, this what you see right here. Right? Remember, Foxy Brown had an album. I believe the album was called Il Nana. Right? Foxy Brown had an album, yeah. Her album was called Il Nana. Right? And we didn't know what she was talking about back then. That was just some type of slang. But this goes back to worship, idol worship. And all these things do. You know, the way that these women portray themselves, and they're not doing this of themselves. She wasn't smart enough to sit back in the room and say, you know what, I'm going to call myself this, I'm going to name it this. This comes from the higher ups in the industry, and that pushes this spirit, right? The same, where's she at? Where's she at? Where is idol at? This right here, this idol worship, right? This idol being worshipped, Il Nana, was also called, what was it? The Queen of Heaven, right? And that's how you pronounce the name, Il Nana, Ishtar, right? Nana, right? Let me see how you pronounce that. Inanna pronunciation, right? Pronunciation, right? It says yup, Inanna, right? And the same thing that you had right here with this rapper Foxy Brown, she had an album called Il Nana, right? So let's keep on reading. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 8. I am Yahweh, Slakia. Again, Isaiah 42 and 8. I am Yahweh, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. And again, what were people doing, particularly Israelites doing? They were giving the glory of the Lord to these idols, right? Who was Il Nana or Ishtar, right? Is the ancient Mesopotamian goddess of war, which there are no goddess. All these nations, they had pantheons, right, of idols. And they attributed things that the Lord created to these idols, right? And so the Mesopotamian goddess of war, love, and fertility. She is also associated with political power, divine law, sensuality, and procreation. And it's the reason why you see this image right here with the big hips, the big ass titties. That's supposed to be a symbol of fertility, right? A woman that's, there was a childbearing hips. You ever heard that term? Childbearing hips, right? Given to a woman who had wide hips that was like, oh, she's ready to give forth child, and supple breasts, meaning that they were good for milk. And these are all represent fertility, right? Fertility, sex, that kind of shit, right? It says, she is also associated with political power. And believe you me, these politicians at a high level, they worship these idols, right? Because that's all they have. They don't worship Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. They worship these dead idols. They don't worship Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, who's alive, who lives, right? They worship these idols, but they do it behind closed doors, and they do it in the open. Sometimes you may see an event happening, and it's a total adoration for the idol. So it says sensuality and procreation. And again, you see these hips, you see these women today. Well, I looked it up, according to ChatGPT, this doesn't, this supposedly, it doesn't represent, women with BBLs today. But why do women get BBLs or overpronounced body parts that they weren't born with? Because they want to exude sensuality, right? You see women with the BBLs, right? They claim that it's about self-imaging and body positive shit. But you see these women, they go from looking like this, right? Then they get their BBL, right? They got the tummy tuck. They get the BBL, right? This is good picture right here. This is a great picture right here because it's similar to this image right here, right? Right? Don't get all excited, Jake, when you see this. Like, oh my God, titties and ass. No, the bitch used to look like this, right? She used to look like a sack of potatoes, but then when she get the operation, the tummy tucks, right? That's why her belly button is above where it normally would be. The wide hips and the all this is supposed to exude some type of sensuality. And that's the same thing that this was pushing. That's what that pushed. And Queen of Heaven worship, right? Worshiping these women, putting them on a pedestal. That goes back to Queen of Heaven worship, right? And those are things are extremely celebrated here in this world, particularly America. So it says, originally worshipped in Sumer, she was known as the Akkadian. She was known by the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians as Ishtar. Her primary title is Queen of Heaven. She was the patron goddess of Nana, of the Nana temple, right? Of the Nana temple, also referred to as the temple of Nana, was a monumental ancient Sumerian temple complex in Uruk, considered the residence of Nana. It was among the most prominent and influential religious institutions of ancient Mesopotamia, mentioned throughout the Epic of Gilgamesh. And it says, her early main religious centers in archaic Uruk, she was worshipped in three forms: morning Inanna Ud, evening Inanna Sig, and princely Inanna Nun, none. The former two reflecting a phrase of her associated planet Venus. Her most prominent symbol included the lion, right? That's what you saw in Babylon, and the 8-pointed star. You see that a lot here too. Her husband is the god Dumazid, also known as Tammuz, right? And her Sukal attendant is the goddess Nishumbar, a later conflated with the male deities of Ibrik and Popsicle. Oh, that's crazy. And you be eating them shits, popsicles and shit. You didn't even know where that word came from. Popsicle. Popsicle is the god regarded as the Sukkot to Anu and his wife, whatever. In earlier periods, he was instead associated with Zababa. He was acquired his new role through syncretism and whatnot. So yeah, and that's, you see this shit, right? And then you got, the origin, the development of these idols. And this is the reason why it's going to be a visitation. These idols never died. That's what I'm trying to explain. These idols never went anywhere. They just got their names changed and they were converted to whatever world power was existing back then. Inanna was associated with the planet Venus, which is named after her Roman equivalent. Several hymns praise of Inanna and her role as God. So these nations, when they came into power, what did they do? All they did was recycle the same old idols that they had before, and they worshipped them. They worshipped them in temples of old, right? And so, again, you see these images, right? You see it right here. Another image of Ishtar, right? She got the owl standing on. It looks like she's standing on either lions or sheep, right? But these owls, they represent her too. And the owl is represented in America in many ways, especially on the money. When you look at Washington, D.C. from an aerial perspective, you see that owl, right? You see the owl hanging out there, right? And these different images, and trust you, believe you me, these heathen nations, particularly Esau, Edom, they're worshiping these idols, right? And they're committing human sacrifice to these idols, right? Child sacrifices to these idols. And Yahweh Shema Shah is going to destroy them, because when Yahweh Shai comes back, all these idols are going to be stomped out of the earth. There ain't going to be no more. You ain't going to be able to dig up an old statue of a wide hip, big titty demon and then start worshiping her. Like she's going to give you some power, right? And so I just looked this up in the scriptures just to bring out precepts about how these idols became a stumbling block amongst our people. And I just typed in the Queen of Heaven. And because, again, there is no Queen of Heaven, right? It's just Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, right? Ruling. And then you got the heavenly host, the angels. It says, Jeremiah 7:18, the children gather wood and the fathers kindle fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. When you worship these idols, you're provoking Yahweh Bashim Shai to anger. And I'm talking to the Israelites, right? When you follow these other nations into their idolatry, what are you doing? You're angering Yahweh Bashim Shai. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 1. Okay? Jeremiah 10:1. Hear ye the word which Yahweh Bashim Shai speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain, and for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, in the work of his hands of the workman with an axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with a hammer, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. So none of these idols can do that. And a beautiful, I was telling the brother, we was at camp, we were speaking about it. A beautiful illustration of this is the book of Bel and the Dragon, where Jeremiah, through the spirit of power, Yahweh Bashim Shai, confounded those idols in front of their worshipers, particularly the king. Because these idols, they can't do shit to you. They can't do nothing. You had Jake scared as shit of a Christmas tree, during the time of the heathens, right? Because that's what this is, right? You deck it with gold and silver, a decked out, right? A Christmas tree decked out, right? Right, just a Christmas tree decked out, right, with gold and silver, right, all these different ornaments and shit. And then Jake would look at it and get scared. Like, the Lord's like, don't be scared of these shit. They can't do nothing to you. And these idols don't exist. They're nothing, right? They're nothing. They're corrupt images created by corrupt people, right? In fact, this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 1. It says, again, one preparing himself to sell and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him, right? Because that wood that's carrying you is dead wood. It ain't even alive anymore. You cut it out of a tree, right? And then you make a little idol in your hand, put him in your pocket, and you pray to it that it can get you through the water. For verily desire of gain devised that, the workman built it by his skill, because he was trying to make money. Right? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 2 in the G&T. It says, someone designed the ship out of desire for profit, and the craftsman built it with skill. Right? Let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 3. But thy providence, O Father, governeth it, for thou hast made a way in the sea and safe path in the waves. Exactly. So it wasn't the boat that got them there safely. It was Yahweh Shai that got the people that's on the boat to their location safely, right? It says, showing that thou can save from all danger. Yeah, though a man went to sea without art, nevertheless thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, passing the rough sea in a weak vessel, are saved. As we just in the NLT, the GMT. It says, verse 3, but it is your care, O Father, that steers it. You give it a safe path through the waves of the sea. People may go to the sea even if they have no skill, because you can save them from any danger. It is your will that the things that you have made by your wisdom should be put to use. And so people can cross the sea in a boat and come to safety to land, because they trust their lives to that small piece of wood. This was how it was in the ancient times, when a proud race of giants was dying away. And those giants are the Israelites, right? Not talking about no 12 feet men or 18-foot giant men walking around like some damn mythological giant. It says the hope of the world escaped on such a boat under your guidance. Who was the hope of the world, right? The hope of the world escaped through a boat. That was Noah, right? Right? Under your guidance, and left the world a new generation to carry on the human race, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And blessings was on Noah's wooden boat that allowed righteousness to survive, right? So Yahweh Shai allowed righteousness to survive because Noah was righteous in the sight of Yahweh Shai. But a curse is on an idol made by human hands. A curse is also on the one who makes it, because he works on this perishable thing and then calls it a god, right? And this is a great illustration right here. There's just some shit from the ancient world somebody dug up out of the ground that some ancient asshole created with the works of his hands. He might have been bored. He might have even been worshiping his idol. And then he put this shit together, and then you called it a god. You gave it what? Food, right? I had asked the question to chat, what was the worship of Ishtar Inanna like? What types of sacrifice did worshipers do to this idol, and how did the ancient Israelites come to serve the Queen of Heaven, right? And it says right here, well, we already gave a background on it. It says, worship varied by time and region, but common elements included temple-centered rituals, right? Temple idolatry, temple harlotry, were economic and religious hubs. Priests and priestesses conducted daily offerings, hymns and prayers, festive rites, and divination practices. So these people, this is witchcraft. People brought gifts seeking blessings, fertility, protection, successors in war. And it's not no idol that can give you any of these things. Only Yahweh Shema Shai can give a woman the spirit, and the body, open her womb up so that she may bear seed. Right? He did it for Rachel. Only Yahweh Shema Shai can give man protection in this world and success in war. It's the will of Yahweh Shema Shai to give any man, doesn't matter if you're an Israelite or a heathen, success in war. But these people were attributing to their idols. And Jake got into that. And that's where we truly fell off. Offering sacrifices. Typically, offerings were not primarily human sacrifices, contrary to popular myths, but rather food and drink. Grain, bread, beer, wine. And you see this shit going on today. You got images. You go to China, right? People are offering food, money to their gods, right? People offering money to their idols, right? Their so-called gods, right? You see images of that shit all the time, right? These motherfuckers, some asshole created these images out of plaster, and then what they put, same thing they were doing in the ancient world, nothing new under the sun. They putting fruit to this idol, like he can get up and eat. And this motherfucker would have got up and started eating, people would have lost their mind and ran up out of it. You see, look at this shit. Look at this shit. They offered it, and then it's not the idol that eats this shit. It's the people. It's the people that curate these things. The priest and the priestess that eat this. You can read Bell and the Dragon, and it shows you this. It's nothing new under. They're doing the same shit, and Jake do the same thing, right? You go to South America. People giving food to outright statues, right? Same thing, idols and shit, right? They offering, yeah, look at this shit. Look, they offering food to Guadalupe, right? These are nothing but idols, right? They even got the one, the Day of the Dead, Dias, I think it's Dias Mortis. The Day of the Dead, Dias Mortis, right? People go to graves, and they offer offerings. Dias Mortis. Yep. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look, this is what Jake do. They offering water, food to the dead. Talking about as your ancestors. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. This is idolatry. You've taken a man that was corrupted and died and went to the spirit world, and then look what you do. Look, they got skeletons and shit, right? Baked breads, flowers, cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? Candles, burning incense, right? This is what they do. And you wonder why Jake is in the trouble that they're in. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Bread, candles, right? To so-called loved ones that passed on that are in the spirit world. You didn't do this shit for the person when they were walking the earth. You didn't even do that. Look at this shit. Happy pictures of people that passed on. And this is what they do. This is idolatry. That's why the scriptures speak about Ephraim as being, Ephraim is joined unto idols. Let him alone, joined unto idols. Right? Come on now. I don't know how to spell it. Yeah. Ephraim is, yep. Yep. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 17. It says, Ephraim is joined unto idols, let him alone. Right? And you see that heavy. Yep. Their drink is sour. They have committed whoredom continually. Her rulers with shame do, her rulers with shame do love, give ye. Right? And that's what they did. That's what the northern kingdom do. That's what the southern kingdom did. Judah is joined unto idols as well. It ain't just Ephraim, right? That word, I just want to read what it says. It says right here, leave Israel alone because she is married to idolatry. And you see that. You go down South America, and that's how you know these people are the Israelites. And then people try to say that they're not, but they are. Right? You go to, what is it called? What is those, there's a pharmakia. Well, what's it called? Candles in South. It's a store that they sell that shit. South America, right? Candles in South America with people on it. Where's this shit at? Yeah, spiritual, religious, scented candles. This kind of shit. You got it with. They got prayers on the shit, right? They got all of this is all idolatry, right? All this shit is idolatry. Look at this shit. The Virgin Candelina, right? They got, look at this shit. All of this shit. These is, the Botanicas. That's what it's called. The Wadiyah Bashan Shah. And they don't just do that in the Northern Kingdom. This is India, right? Hindu. All this shit come from idolatry, bro. And these niggas, when they burn these candles, they're not burning these candles for light. They're burning these candles for their idols. Shiva, Hindu, whatever idol you worship in that day, right? They're doing that shit. Right? So the Lord said, leave them alone. Get away from them, right? Because they're married unto these idols, and they're going to be destroyed by them. Not by them. They're going to be destroyed because they worship them, right? And that's why they're going to be destroyed. So going back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 in a G&T, it says, right here, verse 7. Verse 8. But a curse is on an idol made by human hands. A curse is also on the one who makes it, because he works on this perishable thing and then calls it a god. Ungodly people and these ungodly things they make are equally hated by the Most High. So Yahweh Bashan Shai hates idols, and the people that create them and the people that worship them. Who will punish both the things made and the people who made them? Because again, there's going to be a visitation on these idols when Yahweh Bashan Shai comes. They're going to destroy all of this shit. They're going to destroy all of it, right? And so the Most High's judgment will fall on pagan idols, because even though they are made from something the Most High created, wood, stone, gold, silver, whatnot, they became horrible things that trap the souls of foolish people. And does not the Lord, what the Lord says about his people, same book, Hosea 4 and 6, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected me, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. I will also forget thy children. Because one of the number one laws that we have is that we should have no God except Yahweh. We should worship no power except Yahweh Bashan Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? And Jake willfully opened up to do that. Even when you call yourself worshiping Jesus Christ, that's an idol. That's not Yahweh Shai, right? Jesus Christ candles. I saw they got a video game, a Christian video game and shit. This shit is crazy. Look at this shit, right? This is an Edomite image, and this is what you worshiping, and you lighting these candles like it's doing something for you. These so-called Satan candles, I call them Satan candles. That's exactly what this is, because this is not Yahweh Shai. This is not the son of Yahweh. This is not the only begotten son. This is the idol. Straight up, a white supremacist idol. Okay? So it says, and so the Most High judgment will fall on the pagan idols, because even though they are made from something the Most High created, they become horrible things that trap the souls of foolish people. For my people is foolish, they have not known me. Sexual immorality began when idols were invented. So the homosexuality, the lesbianism, the bestiality, the child SA, right? Pederasty, pedophilia, right? All of that shit comes from idolatry. It started in there, and then now it's normalized in this world. It's so bad. It's so sexual depravity is so perverse in this world. So sexual depravity is so pervasive in this world. That's the word I want. It's so pervasive in this world that it's common now. People just accept it, right? Getting peed on, shat on, you know, you name it. The list goes on. Trannies, you know, homos, lesbians, all that shit is weird, bro. And that it all started with idolatry. That's where it was invented at. Because these ancient nations, the Canaanites, they did all of that shit, bro. Like the Canaanites, they did all of that. Most what? Odious works of what? Witchcraft. Let me get that real quick. Most odious works of witchcraft. Right? Right? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12. Right? Yep, Wisdom of Solomon 12:1. For the uncorruptible spirit is in all things, therefore chastisement thou them by little and little that offend, and warnest them by putting them in remembrance, wherein they have offended, that leaving their wickedness they may believe on thee, O Lord. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of the Holy Land, which were the Canaanites. You had other nations too, but it was mainly the Canaanites, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh, the cannibalism, in a feast of blood, drinking blood. Right? You got this picture of Maria Abramovich. Maria Abramovich, right? And she's a high-level witch in today's society. She does these satanic rituals and calls it art, right? Lady Gaga, right? Look. They got a spoon and they eating blood off a person. It could be a dead person, right? Just laying in there and they're eating it. Look at this shit. She taking pictures of this bitch. And they eat blood. Look, hanging out with Jay-Z. All these niggas drink blood, eat children, right? This person must be high or something, right? Or dead, but then you don't know what's in that fucking shit. It's blood, it's semen, it's all manners of evil, wickedness inside this thing, and this is what they do. This is what they do at a high level. Your so-called favorite entertainers, right? This motherfucker just laying there with demons on. What will possess any human being to lay in blood and animal filth? Lady Gaga attends Devil's Heaven's Gala benefit for Robert Wilson's Watermill Center. Right? Devil's Heaven. What the fuck is that? Devil's Heaven Gala benefit. Look, it says Devil Heavens was the 20th annual Watermill Center summer benefit held on 2013 in Watermill, New York, raising $1.85 million for artist residents. The avant-garde event featured 20 installations, including Trina's Mary-painted nude performers. Look at this wickedness. Nude performers and Jew celebrities like Lady Gaga and Hugh Jackman. The nigga that played Wolverine? Highlights feature a silent auction with over 100 art. I wonder what else they was auctioning. Performers included Mongolo's Trina Mary and works of artists like Evalia Rantu. Atmosphere blended heaven and hell. Listen to this shit. Atmosphere blended heaven and hell, featuring Devil's Garden Salad, whatever the fuck that is. And according to Bizbash, a 3D installation inspired by Claymate Hunter. Who was there? Lady Gaga, Winona Ryder, Maria Abramovich, Prince Dmitry of Yugoslavia. You see this shit? And this is what they do. This is what they do right in front of you. And you just say, oh, it's just nothing. Oh, it's just, they had a party. Right? Sensible people don't do shit like this. Eating blood, drinking blood, and all that shit. And that's why the Most High gonna destroy you Edomites, man. He gonna destroy all you motherfuckers. And she was there a couple of times. The bitch kept going back. She was there at nighttime, and she was there in the daytime. There's different people hanging out with this bitch, and they just taking spoons of this shit. Right? This is what Edomites do. This is what Edomites do, and nigga celebrities that get amongst these motherfuckers. This is what they do. Look at this shit, bro. She was there the whole time. You don't know what the fuck you eating, man. You don't know what's in there. And that motherfucker look dead. The person in there looks dead. Right? But this is supposed to be art. Fuck out of here, man. It says, nevertheless, thou also is not that the works of thy wisdom should, Salakia. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12. It says, whom thou hatest for doing most, verse 4, most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices. And also these merciless murderers of children. They don't have no mercy for children. They kill them. And devourers of man's flesh. We just showed you some of that shit they was doing. Right? In the feast of blood. They were drinking blood. They were eating blood. Right? With their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew. And well, we just saw some idolatrous crew. Look, these motherfuckers. This is idolatrous crew right here. Right? This is idolatrous crew right here. She don't give a fuck. You want paid, bitch. We're gonna kill you. Right? Fucking witch. It says, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. Right? Right? And that's what they were doing in the land. And that's why the Lord told us to kill all the motherfuckers. But you didn't do it. So that's why these things became a stumbling block amongst our people. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just wanted to bring this out, man. Like I said, I was inspired by the video Elder Ariala did right here. You know what I'm saying? The reply to the mother of all harlots. I didn't want to keep others too long. I hope you were edified with that. I'm saying shalom and on to the next. Hey, shalom.